All right, guys, we're live. We're live. The Lawyer Henderson Hodge Radio. Okay, let me go back there. Thumbs up, y'all. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me let them know that I'm hot on the gram.
To start your show now, press 1 to hear. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4.
Let me let them know that I am on Facebook. Facebook. Watch this. Let them know that I am live on Facebook and even on the gram. And this computer, man, come on. Let's see something here. Hey guys, thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, family. Like, share, and subscribe. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Today we're going to be talking about the case against Julius Jones of Oklahoma City. Julius Jones has just gotten word from the Pardon and Parole Board that they'll be able to, have what they call a hearing on his case. So that is good news. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about Oklahoma's death row system, because as y'all know, Oklahoma has a lot of black people on death row. It is only 11%. You have a state that's only 11% black or 10% black, and yet it has the highest rate of people going to prison. You got to look at that. So we're going to talk about that later on in the case. Thumbs up if you're on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Justice for Julius Jones. See, here's the thing about the white supremacists. See, they have been so bold against us. They've been out here making moves that are very, very they've been out here just doing crazy stuff against us, Now, I wanted to talk about first some other news out the way that we are basically covering before we get to Julius Jones' case. They had a rapper's daughter, Sanaya Dennis. They're claiming that she committed suicide. Now, as you know, black women do not commit suicide at a higher rate than any other people. So they basically do not commit suicide that quick. In fact, black women have a low rate, as black people in general, of committing suicide. But that's what they're going to try to tell us, the state police in New York, that this young lady took her own life because of her boyfriend. And they're saying this despite not having a body. So you already know what's going on here. You understand? You already know what's going on here. They said that, watch this. They said that because of the breaking up of her boyfriend, she committed suicide. She took the train to Niagara Falls, the city, I think it is. She took the train there, okay, and ended up, they could not find out that the dog, they said that the dog had her scent stop in Niagara Falls, or whatever that means. I mean, the um when she got onto the train, she ended up in that area. So Yahoo News, I'm going to give them credit. They said Sanaya Dennis, the New York college student who disappeared last month, died by apparent suicide, official says Thursday. It appears that this poor girl took her own life. Erie County District Attorney John Flynn told reporters during a morning news conference. While authorities have not located the 19-year-old girl's body, they were able to reach the conclusions based upon a timeline of her last hours. Now, you all know when they say that a black person committed suicide, you better really be close look at what the state does. Every state officials are in bed with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they are also in bed with people who kill us for organs. You understand? This is organ theft, especially when you go into these little valleys and canyons. Like the model who's from Georgia, he traveled from Las Vegas, and I just got back from Las Vegas, as I've been telling y'all. He got back from Las Vegas. He traveled from Las Vegas 4 hours to Los Angeles, and somewhere in the desert, and I was about to drive down there. I think in the canyon, I based up. I don't know what. I seen a lot of mountains as I was leaving Las Vegas, going the same highway, right, the same path or whatever. And I was like, damn, let me turn back around. Because when you go into the mountain areas, it's a lot of mountains. It's not hardly nobody there, but just the people who are driving on the street. So if you actually if you break down in that area, man, that's a scary thing. Do not, I'm telling you, this is why a lot of black people went missing. And so here's the thing. They basically said, no, let me go ahead and continue to read the article. It says Flynn said on the afternoon of April the 24th, Dennis got into an argument with her boyfriend in New York City over the phone. After trying to contact him for 59 times to no avail, she called another male friend in New York City and talked about killing herself, the DA said. Now, see, they're basing this on what a person who was not even with this girl said. And they're going to conclude that she took her own life. Not maybe took her own life, but this is what their conclusion is. Family, we keep on trying to tell you, whenever these white supremacists talk about we taking our own life, they are actually snatching us up and killing us for our organs. Now remember, when you go to these canyons and the desert, and like she was in Niagara Falls, a small city, you have to understand that our organs and melanin in our body is very, very profitable for the white supremacists. You see, we got a lot of naive black folks that just let their kids go anywhere. And I'm not saying that this is what happened in Shania's case. I'm just saying we let them go anywhere, knowing that these white supremacists are snatching them up and killing them for their organs. There was a YouTube video, and I don't mean to continue to engage in any kind of conspiracy theories, but this FBI agent, this former FBI agent, he said on YouTube like some years ago, he said that not only do certain types of law enforcement officers are in the harvesting business, he also concluded that they are also snatched up and then they basically cut their hair off, right? And the women goes to certain types of countries to become concubines for Indian men because they like a lot of women. They like how pretty the young girls are in the United States. So the Indian people meet with white men in the United States, okay, on some Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And instead of them basically just having not only sex with these young girls, they keep these young girls in their country as concubines. Now, when that FBI agent said that, I was like, whoa, the police is here to protect us. No, you see, here's the thing. You have people who are in the organ business like Frank Markel. Frank Markel is a heavy organ organization. I mean, he runs a heavy organ donation company, right? And inside a probe that we did on Frank Markel, he was also linked to the Kanika Jenkins case. This got Kanika Jenkins written all over it again. And we keep on trying to tell the black parents, specifically these single moms, that your daughters are easy prey because you are educating them to trust everybody. And while you're fighting with the baby's daddy, you got white supremacists snatching your children up. Okay? This district attorney set up here and said, without nobody, no evidence, that he's going to conclude that this young girl died, or is, killed her own self without a body. And she's still missing. It goes on to say that Fling said on the afternoon on April the 24th, Dennis got into an argument with her boyfriend in New York City over the phone. Excuse me. After trying in contact with 59 times to no avail, she called another male friend in New York City and talked about killing herself, the DA said. Okay, I just read that part. But it goes on to say that two remained on the phone for several hours before she later told the male friend she had in her dorm room at State University New York College at Buffalo. Shortly after, Fling said she was captured on a campus surveillance video leaving her dorm. Dennis walked towards a garbage can on campus, threw away personal items that will lead someone to believe that she was not returning to the dorm, he said. It was unclear what the personal items were. Now, you see the kind of language is in that? People throw away stuff all the time. That's not an indication that she was about to commit suicide. I got a book that I'll throw away. I don't want that no more. It's old. So, family, this is what they're doing. See, like I said, I did my research here on this case, and guess what? Like I said, this is Kanika Jenkins all over again. I did my research, and as far as the Niagara Falls it's 80 miles to Canada. I was like, oh, hell no. 80 miles to Canada. Hmm? Canada works with state police officers. They work with the sheriff. They work with police agencies because the white supremacists in Canada, they're the ones who basically they're the white supremacists who are more on the nerdy side. They're the ones who basically said, well, we're not going to go kill no niggers. We're not going to do that. We're in the harvesting, the harvesting business of organs. So you got white supremacists like the UK and the United States. They shoot and kill niggers, and all of that. But you have your more sophisticated white supremacists in Europe and even in the Canadian border, in Canada itself or Canada itself. They're in the business of organ harvesting. You understand? She was 80 miles from New York is the Canadian border. You understand? Canada has the highest level of organ. No, watch this. Go ahead. Let's listen to it. Listen to it. Shortly after Fling said she was, hold on, where I'm at. Okay, according to the DA, video from the Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority. You understand? You got to watch these people who call themselves Transportation Authority or call themselves the desert police and all these people who supposed to basically out in the desert be the officials, and they supposed to work with law enforcement because of any crimes or stuff like that. Watch these folks when you go around in those places, right? According to the DA, video from Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority showed she rode two different buses going towards Niagara Falls. She was by herself. Dennis was last seen on the New York State Police, the New York State Park Police cameras shortly after midnight, walking towards Goat Island, where her phone last pinged. Flynn said around 12:18 a.m., the male friend warned in a text that he would call police if she did not call him in 30 seconds. End quote. See, here's the thing. See, white supremacists will continue to do what they've done. See, white people have always did to us what they've always done. It is just the foolishness of black folks who think that these people, the white supremacists, are not fully aware that they're doing all of this stuff to us on all levels. And we're sitting back there like a fool thinking that, oh, no, let's continue to investigate. Let's continue to do this, or let's continue to just work with them. No, these people are evil. They're diabolical. You understand? And so therefore, this right here did not make no sense. Now remember, in Kanika Jenkins' case, remember they said that she drunk she was intoxicated, but remember they found not only caffeine and other stuff, along with the alcohol, they found medicine that was linked to epilepsy. Understand? So who put that into her drink? See, you got to understand the white supremacists are very desperate. And then the security guard at that hotel, okay, they found out that after Zach TV did the interview with him, he went overseas to his country back in India. Because he told the police that he was going back over there right after this case was over. You understand? So what we're doing is letting people know. See, the black media, that's the reason why we are so frustrated with the white media right now that we have to create our own media now. Okay? Thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe, family. Like, share, and subscribe. So we're gonna probably I'm gonna probably do a whole I'm gonna probably do a whole little case on this to go deep into it a little bit more, y'all, so we can basically understand what's going on. So probably next week, I'm going to go ahead and do some more research because I know I just did a little bit, but those points that I want to make clear about how far from New York State that she was from in the Niagara Falls area, and as it relates to 80 miles to Canada that this happened when she disappeared. I want people to understand that significance of the case. Okay, and we might come back to this on next Thursday. But in other news, Bill Gates. You see, you had all these mammies out here, and these bedwenches who was telling us that white men don't cheat. White men are romantic. White men don't do this, blah, blah, blah. White men don't cheat. Was coming out that Bill Gates accused of cheating with ex during marriages. Divorce reason explained. So, as you know, Bill Gates is married to Melinda Gates. Announced their divorce after a marriage of 27 years on Twitter by posting the same statement on their respective handles. They also said that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had enabled people to lead healthy and productive lives and that they will continue to work on it together as they believe its mission. What really happened between Bill Gates and Melinda? After the news of Bill Gates' separation, people speculate various angles, and here's all the dubious goes away. A statement regarding their drifting has released. The statement read after a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage. The statement went on to say that they have raised three incredible children and built a foundation that they believe in, and went on to add, we continue to share the belief and the mission and will continue our work together in the foundation, blah, 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 blah. After the release of the statement, speculation on reason behind the divorce was widely discussed. Supposedly, Bill Gates was accused of cheating with his ex-wife during the marriage with Melinda that ended their marriage. Okay? So he was dealing with his ex-wife when he's supposed to be married to her. And here's the thing. Bill Gates, of course, is worth $145 billion collectively. Now, how much his wife is going to get? Yeah, we don't know. They're saying that Jeff Bezos, who's been financing the Black Lives Matters, he's worth 60 billion. So Bill Gates, who is worth 145 billion, his wife is going to take half of that money after the divorce is settled or whatever. But yeah, but we had a lot of these bed wenches and mammies out here. White men are charming. White men don't cheat. White men, when they get married, they don't cheat on their wife. And here it is, Bill Gates sleeping around with his ex-wife. See, not only that he was basically trying to find a way to reduce the black population, he was also at the same time, having sex with his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, I said. You understand? And he's not the only one that try to pretend like they have a marriage. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger? He did the same thing, had a baby with his maid. You see, white men, you have to understand, they get this persona in the media, the white media, as if they don't do no wrong. And so they like to hammer black men in the media. And it was like, oh, this don't really make sense. You got to, okay, like, why are y'all, we see that the white supremacists are killing people, yet you got black men in the news media taking over this. You got R. Kelly in the media and Bill Cosby in the media, but not Jeffrey Epstein, not Harvey Weinstein. This is what we've been talking about here. Understand? So that's other news. Then finally, in the other news, before we get to our topic of the day about Julius Jones, we got Mayor Keisha Lambert here announcing that she will not seek a second term, and that is good. Now, I like to support black men and women on a lot of stuff, but this mayor was the worst mayor that they ever elected here in the city of Atlanta. Now, Kasim Reed was no different. He basically allowed the white supremacists to take us under so that black people can lose a lot of wealth in Atlanta. He really came in for the 2 terms that he did. Black people in Atlanta was very sabotaged because of Kasim Reed. But what got Keisha Lambert to be so messy and just she's not a leader in a sense. You see a lot of these women who join these Alpha Kappa and these sororities, they're not really leaders. Somebody just told them, oh, you got this personality, you should be, a city official, run for this political office or that political office. And she really didn't have the charisma, even though she beat her opponents, because nobody knew what kind of mayor she would be. She defeated Mary Norwood because Mary Norwood, she's been trying to get in there so she can help all the white people take over all the resources in the Atlanta office. You see this, and so she's been out there. Mary Norwood, she's been out there trying to appeal to black folks so that she can get all into the office. That's what that white judge that I had to go up against. That's what she did here in Clayton County. She tried to take these photo op with black people and thought that she was going to win the re-election after the former governor elected her. And come to find out, the people of Clayton County said, "Hell no." You understand? We do not want that white supremacist lesbian in office in this county because we know what they do. See, Tariq was right about something. You know what I'm saying? When the Republicans are in office, we only have to deal with the white supremacists. But when Democrats are in office, we got to deal with the white supremacists. We have to deal with the LGBT. We have to deal with all of these other people, these immigrants, these other groups. And Joe Biden is talking about bringing 11 million or making 11 million undocumented illegal immigrants to come over here and be citizens. This is what they're doing. They're undermining us. Now, if you know how that's going to work after they basically come to speak English and start getting on their jobs, on the job of basically being police and working in the fire department or working in the DA's office, working in government and all this stuff, all you have to do is look at the Rosemont Police Department in Chicago who handled the Kanika Jenkins case, going back to that. And you'll see what these people is about. You'll see what they're about crossing over the border. These folks are here to undermine us. The white supremacists have told them that they can shoot us just like them and just like they do to us as well, and shoot us and kill us with impunity. This is what we're talking about. This is the reason why we don't want these 11 million people to be no damn citizens in this country. See, this is what we have to deal with when the Democrats get in office. You see? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the news update. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Now, we're going to talk about hold on, let me find it first. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs like, share, and subscribe. So 516-418-5867 is the number to call. Now, this case with Julius Jones, who is innocent here, I believe, in Oklahoma City. Now, Oklahoma City, they have a history of racism and they have a history of putting black people in jail, especially black men. Now, Julius Jones' case had just came up for a hearing from the Pardon and Parole Board. And Oklahoma has a history. When I was staying there for the 24 years that I did before I moved to Atlanta, you know, we basically knew that Oklahoma was a racist state. The white folks in that state is real racist. And that's just one state. You know what I'm saying? They're racist all over the country. But this specific state, Oklahoma, has 53 people on death row right now. And they recently killed a black man. They had he was given lethal injection, right? And it was a botched injection. And the medicine, the chemicals that they used, it took this man 43 minutes to die. He was burning, his body was burning before he actually died, right? So Oklahoma governor Stitch, or whatever his name is. This guy is a true white supremacist. He basically announced that they were going to now start executing back these people. And guess whose case that he was basically trying to go out first was Julius Jones. Now, to give you a history about what happened in Julius Jones' case, he was convicted in the 1999 murder of Paul Howell of Edmond, Oklahoma, a white insurance agent who has shot and killed, or who was shot and killed during a carjacking. Jones was only 19 years old, and he was in college, going to OU, studying to be an engineer. He got a full ride scholarship to become a engineer. If he graduated, to be an engineer. So at the time, they had this district attorney by the name of Bob Macy. And of course, Bob Macy, man, was a real racist. This dude here, man, him and his mammy chemist named Joyce Gilchrist. These two worked together. I always criticize when white men and black women work together. I'm saying, I know people get upset when I say, but every time they work together, just like this case, just like the virus, you had this black chemist. She's working with what's this man's name? Her name is Corbin. Remember, Miss Corbin, who's working with Dr. Fauci in the coronavirus case. Well, this chemist in Oklahoma, this black woman by the name of Joyce Gilchrist, she was working with Bob Macy. Bob Macy had her to testify and lie in almost 145 cases that put innocent people in jail. Now, keep in mind, Bob Macy basically was an extreme white supremacist. Even up to the days he and Joyce Gilchrist, before they died, they basically was still holding out. They did nothing wrong. Now it goes on to say that the death row, that Jones is one of the 45 people sitting right now on Oklahoma death row, and the only witness of the crime was his co-suspect, which was this guy by the name of what's this dude's name? That they said that was the actual killer, Jordan. This Jordan dude. Now, this Jordan dude, if I can find his name, I forget his name though, his first name. But this dude was the one who admitted to the crime. And he fingered Julius in saying that Julius was the one who shot Mr. Howell. But the district attorney at the time was Bob Macy. Bob Macy cut a deal with this Jordan dude so that he can also go after Julius and put this man in jail for a crime that he did not commit. Now, yes, Julius had a lot of criminal activity in the past, which basically don't really, that doesn't mean anything, because what they did was they went out the blood from a bandana, and they used that blood in the bandana to convict him, and then they appointed him a state appointed, what we call them, what you call them, these appointed attorneys, what I'm saying, a public defender. This public defender, this attorney who was representing him, rested the case and did not call any witnesses at trial. You see what I'm saying? We had a lot of cases like this where black people have been railroaded because of these defense attorneys not calling any witnesses to the trial. Remember that happened in Troy Anthony Davis case, and when I was meeting with him and his sister, and we were trying to fight for him to get him off. And remember, if you go back and look at my book, Foolish American Politics, he actually wrote me a letter. But anyway, we look at this case here, and he said that Julius pulled the trigger, even though that he was the one who basically shot this man in cold blood, and then he gonna say that he had an accomplice. But to see, the question is okay. Well, where is Julius' gun? Okay, did they take turns shooting the man with the same gun? And where was the fingerprints that basically tied Julius to the crime? See, they don't have none of this. They just went out off this blood that was taken from a bandana that was there, and that was, I guess, found in Julius' home, right? So when the police department and not the police department, but so when Bob Macy got the case, keep in mind this man was so diabolical that him and his chemist George Gilchrist, they would testify in court cases that they knew that there was no evidence to convict. But what Joyce Gilchrist would do is she will lie. This damn bitch will lie and say that the evidence matched to the case and the person got convicted because of what she's lied and said that it matched. And it's like, man, there was people who thought that, man, there's no DNA. There's no way that I did this crime. I mean, they're sitting there thinking that they're going to get off. And here this bitch come back and said, no, this person was the one. The DNA said that he's the one that did it. You understand? So in 2001, she was fired, and that they also had, Bob Macy had to resign. But these two spent years prosecuting cases where they were fabricating evidence against every defendant that came into court. And this is why Oklahoma received so much money from the federal government, because, of course, they had the warehouse and the state had to pay the money for these private prisons. And this is how they were getting them inside, is where this chemist was lie, Joyce Gilchrist, she would lie and say that the evidence that this person that was on trial really did it when he did not, or she did not do the crime. So what Bob Macy did was he struck a deal with the cold suspect, which was this Jordan deal. What's Jordan's name? Well, first name. I'm gonna find it here in just a moment. I've been looking for it here. I thought I written it down. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, family. But no, let's go to the article. The article will tell us more about it. Okay, but before we do that, let's look at the notes. So it says that Bob Macy, he immediately pushed for 53 people in 53 cases to be death penalty cases. He resigned in 2001 over prosecutorial misconduct, tampering with evidence. Okay, and then Macy died in 2011. Multiple people he sentenced had their sentence either overturned on appeal or they got exonerated. Now, here's the thing. The white supremacist system like to basically be unjust because Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying, they are a police state. They do not offer their citizens, especially the youth, nothing but going to jail. So they're a police state. And the ideal is that during the time that Bob Macy and George Gilchrist was in this particular in this office, they basically white people knew the white supremacists knew that they were lying. The district attorney's office knew that they were fabricating evidence. But see, within the police community and also in the district attorney's office, they have like a silence code. You don't speak out against you because, of course, you might be found dead or you might be threatened and all this old stuff, right? But yeah, Christopher Jordan, thank you. Christopher Jordan, chat room there. Christopher Jordan admitted to murdering this man. And what Bob Macy said to Christopher Jordan was to strike him a deal. And in the deal, if he testified against Julius Jones, he basically will only receive 30 years. Now, he cut a deal with the prosecution and he was able to do only just 15 years while Julius went to death row. You understand? So you're looking at this case, it's like, wait a minute, why are you going to strike a deal with this man who was already convicted and admitted to the crime? But then you said that you're going to strike a deal with him only to get Julius. See, the white supremacists do that when they know that another black man is involved. Then they will basically do anything that they would do anything to bring down as many as black people as they can. And this is what Bob Macy was trying to do. He knew that Julius was innocent. So even in a sense, then he struck a deal. Now people are asking, well, if Julius is innocent, okay, if he was the one that pulled the trigger, why is he, the other guy, if they've already convicted him of pulling the trigger, why are you going to then have another guy convicted who then, this same person that lied before says that he was with him, no fingerprints on the gun, nothing there but some blood on a bandana, and you're going to use that bandana and then say that the crime lab took the evidence or got some DNA evidence. You're meaning the same evidence that was used and fabricated in all the other cases that Bob Macy and Joyce Gilchrist also conducted in? They basically had see this was a state, and this is one of the reasons why I left, because here's the thing, these people were so diabolical, man. These folks, man, was framing people after people, and Joyce Gilchrist knew that she basically was not fit to take that position. And the thing was is that they basically got her grades in school where she was making D's and she was making F's. But then when she went to the school with this guy who passed her, basically he even said that she was making some mistakes, but yet Oklahoma still hired her as a chemist. You see, Mammy Joyce Gilchrist was basically told by her master, Bob Macy, nigga, you going to help me fabricate these people so that we can then enhance our criminal justice system. You understand? I always told you now, when a black woman is smiling next there to a white man, you better investigate them thoroughly because they about to engage in a bunch of crazy and diabolical stuff most of the time. It goes on to say that even the arresting officer called him a nigger. Goes on to talk about that despite the problem with the evidence into Julius Jones' case, that he had a racist police officer and ineffective counsel. That is already grounds for a new trial. And see, this is and see, here's the thing: white people play dumb because they got to find ways to play dumb to keep the criminal justice system unjust. You understand? And so by doing so, they look at their own laws and say, well, even though he qualified for a appeal already, and not the pardon and parole board giving him one, but to basically have an appeal by a court based upon the fact that there was some circumstantial evidence. And you have to ask the question as to why someone who has circumstantial evidence against them are on death row. That's kind of creepy here. You understand? So that's what happened in Troy Anthony Davis' case. They have already admitted that Oklahoma, according to this nonpartisan organization, said that Oklahoma killed at least 3 innocent people on death row. We know that Georgia killed Troy Anthony Davis, and he was innocent as well. And there was some circumstantial evidence as well in his case here as well. Then when you have the arresting officer calling you all kinds of niggers and stuff, you got to be like, wait a minute now. You mean that I basically don't get a fair shot of retrial here? Now let's rehash this here. Let's go back over the findings. Okay, you had a suspect by the name of Christopher Jordan who admitted that he shot and killed this man, right? Then instead of then only convicting him for the murder, in order to get the other person, you cut a deal with him, and then by cutting a deal with the other person, you put the person where with only just limited evidence, and then struck a deal with the person who actually should have been on death row. This is this is what we're talking about in the so-called criminal justice system. You see, Bob Macy was able to then just destroy people's lives. And the white folks in Oklahoma, they knew that this was going on. And it was not no rallies, it was not no protests. And we were sitting back there even when I was standing there, we were looking, we were like, why the hell is all these people on death row in the state of Oklahoma trying to execute all these people? It's just like we didn't understand that. You understand? We didn't understand why the state of Oklahoma was basically executing these folks and then ignoring their appeals, ignoring evidence that suggests that not only was Bob Macy engaging in prosecutorial misconduct, but his chemist was lying and she was basically fabricating stuff within the labs. You understand? And so, in a sense, you had this state appointed attorney, David McKenzie, who did not call no witnesses at trial for Julius Jones. That is the grounds immediately for a retrial. And so the white supremacists are on code. They had this district attorney by the name of Wes Lane. Now, Wes Lane and me, basically, Wes Lane came after me. And the thing is that Wes Lane was also a white supremacist. And when he became district attorney, Wes Lane and Bob Macy met so that he was not able to then correct the ills of what Bob Macy done. You understand? So David Prater, which is the current district attorney of Oklahoma, he basically wrote a letter. Like, damn. See, the white supremacists are on code at all times. the current district attorney, David Prater, wrote a letter to the Pardon and Parole Board and said that Julius Jones is not innocent and he should remain in jail. You understand? David Prater said that. I'm like, oh my God. So they were all on code. And then I did more research and I learned that white supremacist David Prater, who is the current district attorney now, guess who he was working for in the DA's office? West Lane. I was like, oh, hell. And then West Lane and West Lane and David Prater, they had their little beef as well. They went back and forth and stuff like that. Because West Lane had fired him. And so when he won the district attorney's office from West Lane in 2006, West Lane had to leave, right? And so he gets his job back, and instead of him basically looking at Julius Jones' case, David Prater takes the white supremacist route and then going to tell the Pardon and Parole Board that Julius Jones is guilty. And then wrote a letter. Even the attorney of Julius Jones' new attorney was like, wait a minute now. I mean, I know it's not really a violation of any, it should be a violation of their little policies within the professional standards of law, but you know how white people, I'm white and I say so, so that really don't apply to me. But he wrote a letter that was basically saying that he is uh, guilty. Then you had the white supremacist Attorney General Hunter saying the same thing. So you had the Attorney General, you have the DA, you have the former DA, you had the corrupt DA before them, all in cahoots to basically try to then tell the people of Oklahoma and the world that not only is Julius Jones guilty, but saying that they have a criminal justice system that is fair and just. I beg to differ. Oklahoma, as I told you, is only less than 10% black, maybe 11%, and yet has the highest incarceration rate of black people in it. You understand? Oklahoma death row has over 53 people inside its death row system right now. And Governor Stitch just announced that he is restarting the executions here. He did not waste no time after the 5-year moratorium on it because of what this box execution did. He's already now wanting to basically reconvene the executions. I was like, whoa. So so they were saying just because Julius Jones did like some shoplifting and he was convicted of robbery or something like that back in 2002, they're saying that that's enough evidence to suggest that Julius Jones is guilty. Well, not necessarily. Because to me, you got to then let me know that despite him doing that, I'm trying to figure out, did they share the gun? I'm trying to figure out, did he have his own gun? I mean, I don't understand that. How is both of them convicted and it's only one gun used? I'm trying to figure out that after this Christopher Jordan shot and admitted that he killed him, what did Julius Jones do? Did he just take the gun from Jordan and then start shooting and killing him too? It's not making any sense. And so they use some blood on a red bandana that they found in Julius Jones' home to convict him of it. Now his family had spoke out and they said that, oh, they were eating when they got the call that he would be arrested. And one of Julius Jones said himself that he made the mistake as to not going to the police department when they was first looking for him. That was one of the mistakes he said he made. But even in the sense of that being the situation, man, we know the history of Oklahoma corruption. We know the history of Bob Macy. We know the history of his chemist, George Gilchrist. You understand? You see, Bob Macy was what they was calling the deadliest prosecutor in the history of the country. I was like, to give that man that name is an understatement because this man was very, very evil. Watch this. Thumbs up. This man was very evil. He basically tried cases with limited to no evidence. And then he used his lying ass chemist to suggest that these people were guilty. Understand? But yes, celebrities have spoken out against the case, and Kim Kardashian and all of that. And it's been featured on a show that Viola Davis is doing with the executive producer Julius Tenen. They did a show called The Last Defense. Okay. But here's the thing about the whole situation. Watch this. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay. The Sun's reported that Julius Jones was the 19-year-old student at the University of Oklahoma when he was considered as the prime suspect in the killing of 45-year-old businessman Paul Howell. He was on the verge of gaining a basketball scholarship when he was arrested and charged with Howell's murder in August of 1999, according to OU Daily. In 2002, he was convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death at just 22 years old. The black inmate has spent more than 20 years proclaiming his innocence, and a Change.org petition claims he spent 23 hours a day in solitary confinement as he awaits his fate. Every minute we wait to take action, Julius is suffering, the petition says. Every second that goes by brings Julius closer to being executed for a crime he didn't commit. Okay? Now, the activists who went on to help him, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Who is on death row? Okay, so why is Julius Jones on death row? Okay, here, let's break it down. Julius Jones was arrested and charged with murder in 1999 when Howell was shot in his 1997 GMC Suburban less than 20 miles away from Jones' home. Howell's sister described the shooter as a black man wearing a stocking cap with half an inch of his hair hanging out. His attorney, Dale Beich, told OU Daily in December of 2019. Three suspects interviewed by Edmonton police pinned Jones and a high school basketball teammate, Christopher Jordan, as the alleged carjacking murderers. Despite a lack of evidence to directly connect Jones to Howell's killing, he was sentenced to death and 40 years in prison in 2002. Jordan was the state's key witness against him, And advocates for Jones said his case has been tainted by racial discrimination. We have serious concerns by the way the evidence was collected, handled, and stormed, Bouch said, claiming that Jones was targeted by self-proclaimed car thugs in a gang member. Despite an agreement that Jordan would serve 30 years in exchange for his testimony, he walked free after serving half of that time, according to an overview of his case on justiceforjuliusjones.com. See, and that's what I mentioned earlier. They struck a deal with the actual shooter just to put somebody who they claim was an accomplice on death row. You understand? This was the problem of the case. In this way and many others, Mr. Jones' rights under the state and federal constitutions have been violated, and his conviction and death sentence should be overturned. The description read. Meanwhile, Jones remained locked up at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. He filed for clemency in October 2019 after exhausting all of his options to fight the death penalty. As God is my witness, I was not involved in any way in the crime that led to Paul Howell's being shot and killed, his clemency report said, as reported by OU Daily. I have spent the past 20 years on death row for a crime I did not commit, did not witness, and was not at. Now, his best friend, man, now if I was ever in trouble, I would want a best friend like Julius Jones, man. His best friend, besides the family, his sister and his mom was basically also there, of course. But to have a best friend rocking for you for 20 years, man, that right there shows you that's a real friend right there. So a lot of other people probably would have just given up on you. It probably would have said, man, this man ain't never getting out, went on. But his homeboy stayed with him. He basically was out there making sure that the word was out about this situation here. What has Kim Kardashian said about it? Well, Kim Kardashian West has helped put the spotlight back on Jones' case years after it disappeared from the headlines. In November, she paid Jones a visit in jail a little over a year after she brought attention to the case on Twitter. The reality TV star shared photos of her trip to Oklahoma in Instagram and revealed that she also spoke with Jones' mother, Madeline, and his family at the Baptist church the same day. I'm not even gonna get into our church folks here. I'm just gonna leave them alone. The criminal justice advocate also revealed that Jones broke down in tears when he was informed about how he missed out, or where he shared how he missed out on taking his sister Antoinette to prom because of his wrongful conviction. I'm so thankful for the most supportive freedom fighters for Julius Jones, she wrote in her photo caption. We won't stop until we get justice. Now, you see, here's the thing about Black people here in the criminal justice system. We see here in the Black media, we've been telling the Black grassroots, or the Black grassroots already know, that we are under a system of white supremacy, right? And that the history of Americans' criminal justice system against us have always been I'm white and I say so. That has not changed. But yet you got Black folks who think that you're going to win over the hearts of white supremacists, that somehow you're going to change their mind and change their devilish hearts. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. A white supremacist is always going to be a white supremacist. There's no changing these folks. And see, when we talk there about white people being racist, A lot of people get upset when black folks call them out on their racism. That I the point that you have to make about this is that the average white person probably won't call you an N word. An average white person probably go and will have lunch with you. But what we are saying in the black grassroots that white people basically benefit from racism because they got the white supremacists in the system that helps to maintain discrimination against black folks. And so it doesn't matter if the white person that is eating with you or even going to bed with you is not racist. That's not the point. The point is that they benefit from the system. They can use the system to do a lot of things that are unjust. Watch this. The article from the US Sun continues to write, though, that on October the 16th, 2019, Kardashian West urged her followers to write Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board, as well as Governor Kevin Stitch, the white supremacist governor I've been telling y'all about, for clemency for Jones. She also shared a link to his advocacy website saying, please help by asking the board in Governor Stitch, I don't know if I'm messing up this white supremacist name, but hell, who cares, to give careful and thoughtful consideration to his petition. Now let's stop right there. You see why the white supremacists must control the system? You see why they're bringing 11 million immigrants over here to this country? Because they're going to hurry up and teach these people English to replace black folks so that black people can continue to be discriminated against. Everybody is going to basically double team on us. Going back to what we were talking about when the Democrats get in office, I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat. Here's the thing: the problem that we have here is that we know how to deal with the white supremacists, like I said earlier, when the Republicans get in office. Okay, that's nothing. We know who the white supremacists are. But as soon as this Democrats, when they get in office, man, we have to deal with the white supremacists, like I said. We have to deal with the LGBT community. We got to deal with the Asians lying, talking about we're attacking them. We have to deal with the gay community. We black folks have to deal with everybody when Democrats are in office. We do not get a break, even though we try to play the game. And then we have to deal with other black folks who have basically sold us out for the white supremacists. We have to deal with all of these folks, man. And that's the issue here. Now, the show, I was trying to look at The Last Defense on the Prime Video, whatever, but it wouldn't come on for me. So I might have to just basically, get a subscription or order something online or whatever. But what I wanted to look at is the show The Last Defense. And I think they did a movie on him as well. But I remember, though, that when we were talking earlier about David Prater, the district attorney there in Oklahoma, writing the Pardon and Parole Board, objecting to the commutation of Julius Jones, that came back to me. I had a flashback into my book, Foolish American Politics, where, like I said, we talked about Troy Anthony Davis case, right? The letter that Troy wrote me here, saying about the system, saying how they treat death row inmates. You understand? Remember, I said on page 34, below is a letter from Troy Anthony Davis when I request to see him. and do a documentary film on him when the correctional department in Jackson denied me the visit. Watch this. Why did they not want cameras inside the death row, inside when you go on death row here? Because even when we talk there about the system, especially for innocent people who are on death row, we want to see their living conditions as well. A lot of people, of course, may not be interested in how inmates are treated because they might say, well, these folks are guilty anyway, they're just waiting to die. But what we're saying here with Oklahoma death row is that a lot of these people they have had botched cases by Bob Macy. When Bob Macy finally died in 2011, it was only after then when Oklahoma's appeal court started to say, well, we're going to exonerate you. We're going to overturn your convictions. You see, and here's the thing about it. The problem is that all the people who basically sued the state of Oklahoma or city of Oklahoma, these folks have not gotten paid. Because in the situation of people who killed Joyce Gilchrist, even though they were able to reach a $16 million settlement from her, she didn't have that money. The city has the money, right? But here's the thing: when she did an interview with Dan Rather from 60 Minutes back in 2000 and I want to say 1 or 2. She first started off. They call me Black Magic. That's what they call her. She was basically happy because a bunch of white folks call her Black Magic. You see the type of mentality that some of black folks have when they're hanging around white folks. You're basically sitting up here sending innocent people to jail and is basically not embarrassed and shocked about what you've done, the crime that you've done, and calling yourself Black Magic, making black folks feel bad, and then had the nerves to go into the courtroom with a black male attorney. I was mortified, to say the least. I was basically upset about that because I didn't even really think that a black defense attorney will want this case as much as how many people this person put in jail of us that she helped to put in jail. But going on to a lot of these celebrities that they were saying that's supporting Julius Jones. Her call to action, Kim Kardashian's call to action, has attracted the attention of superstar athletes, including NFL quarterbacker Baker Mayfield and NBA star Russell Westbrook, both of whom have written letters to Oklahoma Governor Stitch in support of Jones' clemency. So what we are at right now is that, man, they even have this white supremacist on the pardon and parole board. He was like, no. But he did get his commutation hearing. He finally got his hearing. And so now, even in the sense of him getting his hearing, it still might take them 3 years to determine whether or not he basically could get a new trial. And if he gets a new trial, we know that the white supremacists with the state is not going to try this case again because they have nothing more than this Jordan dude's testimony, who's already admitting that he killed the man. So here's the thing here. Watch this. People were asking me, was Julius Jones, do you think Julius Jones innocent? I said, yes. Where's the fingerprints? What DNA that he had that matches to Mr. Howe's murder? I don't have, there's no presentation of the evidence here. And then to have the state's public pretender to basically be incompetent shows you that David McKenzie should also be sued for his lack of, being what you call it, having being an infected counsel on the case. This David McKenzie was fresh out of law school. He was basically not. He did not prep. He did not call any witnesses. He basically just allowed the prosecution to do whatever they wanted. And you already know when you up against Bob Macy, this old hag, and this witch of his, George Gilchrist, you know that some bullshit is about to go on. Because collectively, these two engaged into bad science. They basically, even Joyce Gilchrist's former teacher said, well, I didn't train her that way. Well, you didn't train her that way, but you knew that she was flunking her courses in college. Watch this, because we're going to give them that work, because we bring receipts here in the black media. We bring receipts. Okay? So we're gonna basically go hard in on why Oklahoma like to put people in jail instead of helping them in their career. Because the white supremacists in the state, especially these judges, they get bored, so they railroad you because they need people to come in their courtroom to have work. So most of the time, you basically have to botch all these cases, send them to the Oklahoma Criminal Courts of Appeals so that that judge can at least be doing some work. It's no matter what you do on the state level, it says that, okay, he's innocent. Go ahead and basically look at this case again and give him a new trial. You know what I'm saying? Why we have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, all these other, court system. You know what I'm saying? But the problem, though, is that you have to also pass the buck to these other white supremacists who wants to basically railroad you. And I keep trying to I ask black men all the time. I said, man, we live in a system of oppression, but we still basically like to wake up every day and feel good about being an American. I was like, wow, we still go and fight their wars. You understand? I said, how can you be a black man fighting white supremacy wars? There was a black soldier when I went to the airport, right? There were some black soldiers at the airport when I went to Las Vegas, before I was going to get on a plane to Las Vegas. And I'm looking at these black men and black women, and I'm going, look at this, what this society, this system has done to us. And yet we're fighting these white supremacist wars for them. For what? Well, we are basically, when we come back from overseas, we can't even get justice in this country. These folks will not even give us our reparations. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to undermine us by bringing 11 illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, into this country and let them take over all the jobs, the high-paying jobs. So what they're doing is they're really trying to hurry up and make sure that these people speak English. When I was in Las Vegas, of course, watch this. Las Vegas had Hispanics everywhere. And when I was going to the park, I was just going to the park walking, and a sister came by and she had a Hispanic boyfriend. And she basically went from the sidewalk and went to the other sidewalk on the other side, started walking like I was some thug or something. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't throwing up no gang signs or nothing, you know what I'm saying? But no, but see, you have to understand something here. We stay in a system that put this cloud around black men that we are just criminals right out. And yet we forgot that when we talk there about criminality, we often forget that this is what this country was founded on. Come on. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. You see, this is a criminal nation, okay? And the ideal is that they have to project other people as being criminals. You see, here's the thing. We basically are engaged in crime because white people in the system have to undermine our demands for not or for reparations. You see, the white people did the civil rights movement. They pushed civil rights or integration more over so that they could get better control over black people. And since then, we've been listening to the civil rights generation after Dr. King and Malcolm was murdered to suggest that we're living in an integrated society. And so now that enough of us are on code, they said, well, these niggers, they're not listening. They're fighting for justice. They're showing up at our homes. They're showing up at the police's homes. Well, we'll just undermine them by bringing 11 million illegals, document people over here. Dr. Umar Johnson was very correct when he suggested that Kamala Harris, it was no accident that she was appointed the vice president, the first Asian vice president of these United States. Did he mention, of course, that America is in a Cold War with Asia or China? Did he mention, though, that in order to help balance the relationship between China and the rest of the Asian people in that country, that the United States have to basically look at them as helping Asian people? That's the reason why black people are being accused of attacking Asians, and they're setting all kinds of laws for them. Why? Because the white supremacists know that they're shrinking. Their numbers are falling, right? They have been reduced from 10% almost down to 8%. Instead, by the year 2035, year 40, they will be at 6%, understand, of the world's population. We're not talking about 6% in America. We're talking about 6% in the world, because half of the baby boomer generation will, of course, die off. And I mean that, I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that they are old. They're in their 60s and 70s, and nobody lives forever. You know, we're not going to live forever. We're going to die eventually. So the thing is that the baby boomer generation is where all of your numbers are, right? But white people were not producing enough kids. Their women are chasing out the black men and Asian and Hispanics and other men, and they're not producing other children. So they said, well, you niggers, we got medication for you. Go out and take that vaccine. And before you know it, you got our silly, older black generation and some naive young black people taking its COVID-19 vaccine to help the white supremacists help in the reduction of Black people in their life. But back to Julius Jones' case, because that's another subject. So we have this prosecutor, Wes Lane, right? Remember when Wes Lane was in office, he was basically him when he first got one election, him and David, I mean not David Prater, but him and uh, Bob Macy both met together, of course, as district attorneys do, and every politician do, in order for there to be what they call a so-called smooth transition. But hell, I'm like, wait a minute, I already know what y'all transition was about. It was about them not investigating all these damn cases. Now, like I said earlier, David Prater is now he's basically is now about to he is retiring. The district attorney now, he's retiring. So now Oklahoma is going to basically have to search for a new district attorney, right? And so here's the thing, because Black folks, of course, even when we vote, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, but when we vote, we basically don't look at the candidates that we're voting for. And the candidates, if they basically, of course, we don't finance these candidates. But I told you earlier how white people know that they put these racists in office, but yet they'll come and have dinner with you. The problem with what we're seeing is that these white supremacists are able to get elected as the district attorney, as the judges, as the prosecuting attorney or the U.S. attorney, the state attorney, the county attorney, district attorney, all these places, city attorney. They're able to get into the positions of enforcing the rules upon people. And that's the problem. You have some white supremacist judge who is out there with his taking off his KKK uniform, who basically do not believe in following the law, but believe in I'm white and I say so. That judge is dangerous. You understand? So before Attorney David Prater get out of office and retire, he's going to see to it that Julius Jones get an execution. He had already, of course, told the governor's already announced that they will basically start back their executions. Watch this. And this is basically white people, a white supremacist in Oklahoma showing their racism. They just basically is going to just be blunt, straight out with it. Yeah, y'all been accusing us of being racist all this time. Hell, we're just going to go out and show you, yeah, we're racist. You understand? They're not even trying to hide it no more. They're not even trying to hide it no more. You understand? So when I left in 2004 from Oklahoma City, when I left there, remember we had all kinds of issues with the criminal justice system. We went to rallies, we protest, but that was not enough because you had a lot of people who didn't want to fight the system. Like, see, back in 2004, Black people were basically so scared to pull up, if you will, like we're doing now. See, because we've seen this, like with George Floyd and all these other people, we've seen this too many times. And so the grassroots, we were able to educate other people. We were able to, get people out and say, see what the police is doing. So now everything is changing. Okay. So I want to turn to an article from the Oklahoman. Now, mind you, the district attorney, David Prater, has written a letter to the Pardon and Parole Board, right? And said, I don't believe that Julius Jones should be getting no commutation. They don't believe that he deserved a new trial. Okay. So here's the problem. Here's the problem when white racists are in the political are in these offices. You have them showing their true colors, right? And I often tell black folks, I ask them, I said, how do y'all talk about racism and not tell us who is perpetrating the racism on you? I don't get that. You see, you cannot just say that people are racist and then not tell us who the racists are. You got to pretend like racism exists in a vacuum. It does not. You got to recognize that racism is perpetrated from people. People are perpetrating racism. America cannot be racist. The people, the white supremacists, and the white folks in general in it is the one who basically are racist. You got to really name that. And I don't give a damn about what people think about me. I'm saying you just cannot just basically say that a state is racist. The people are the one that basically execute the laws, not a damn state. When you talk about the state, you're talking about the people who run an entire government. You understand? But black people like to play dumb with their minds. And instead of talking about racism, remember I told you how we deal with it is we go out and celebrate. We go out there and we drink all kinds of alcohol and sometimes drugs and stuff like that. We commit suicide in a sense, even though we do that on a lower, real lower way or whatever. But we deal with our racism. I mean, we deal with racism by really, what I'm saying, taking it out on ourselves instead of just basically dealing with the people who are causing our racism. See? And so, therefore, when you call that out, then you turn around and you blame the black person who are basically identifying the true racists. And then I become the enemy because you have been miseducated to think that racism exists in a vacuum. That's problematic. You understand? But anyway, the article from the Oklahoman goes on to say that the state pardon and parole board on Monday voted to further review the commutation application of Julius Jones, a death row inmate who claims he was framed for murder and who cause has been taken up by celebrities and criminal justice reform advocates across the country. Now, here's the thing. The white supremacists like to pretend like we have a fair criminal justice system. If that's the case, family, listen, they got the oldest serving black man just got released about 5 years ago by the name of, what's his man's name, who just got released? Joe Liggins. He's 83 years old right now. Joe Liggins from Pennsylvania, he served 68 years in prison. You understand? 68 years. He's 83 years old. And old Joe Liggins is walking around the town now like he's 45. See, this is how strong we are even when we go into the system. That's the reason why they do us harm, because they know that we can handle it. See, a white person like him at that age would have probably killed himself and hung himself in prison. But Joe Liggins, at 83 years old, who was who was serving for 68 years. Now, he did stab a person and he did admit that. but nobody died in that situation. So he did the 68 years. They gave him 68 years from somebody just bleeding a little bit on their arm or I think in their chest or whatever. They were able to recover and stuff like that. So he did 68 years for that, right? But he was tried not as a juvenile, in which he was tried as an adult. But you see, Pennsylvania has a rule that juveniles can basically most of the time be, they can basically really be tried as an adult in most of these cases. So that's the reason why he spent so many years in jail. So Joe Lincoln served 68 years in prison for stabbing a person that did not die. And you got registered rapists and sex offenders who do less crime than that. I mean, literally, the wounds was not even that harsh, even though, I mean, he did a crime, but it was not, I mean, they barely bled. It's what I'm trying to tell you. He didn't take anybody's life, right? The man did 68 years from him being a juvenile. And most of the skyscraper buildings that when he was released, he said in his interview that he didn't even see that was there. He said that he had pictured Pennsylvania as a different, location in I think it was 1940s or 50s or whatever, when he was convicted. He basically was learning how to use a cell phone and other things, but he could still walk around, man. See, that's what they basically hate about us, because even after serving that long in jail and then having the melanin in our body, this old man at 83 years old can still walk around. He is still, I mean, he basically was walking in the street without a cane. He didn't have a cane. He didn't have a wheelchair. He didn't have anything. He was just basically like walking with the reporter, like, damn, like he was like in his 50s. You see, that's what I'm saying. Some black folks are born with melanin. Even like I said, if they dropped an atomic bomb on a whole black nation, right? You will still have certain types of black people people in general who will still survive, because there were certain people that has the melanin that still would be protected over that. And so the race continues. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem that white folks have with us. See, they've been trying to kill us off with COVID. They've been trying to kill us off with SARS. They've been trying to kill us off with AIDS. They've been trying to kill us off and saying, you niggers, y'all shouldn't have no children. And what did the black man go out and do? Well, he go out to have children by 3 or 4 different women. They've been trying to kill us and find so many ways to kill black men and women, and yet we still manage to survive. And that's what they basically hate about us. That's the reason why. That's the reason why they basically, when the Democrats get in office, we got all of these people against us and attacking us, and you got black folks out here pretending like nothing is happening. You see, you only call out racism when they actually get attacked. You got black folks doing interviews talking about, I didn't even think that this would happen to me, because see, racism, hell, gee, racism didn't exist, but when that happened to me, I was like, man, that's racist. Like, where have you been? You know what I'm saying? You see, and that's the reason why you always have to study history. History is the best identifier to determine what's going on in the future, or what will go on in the future. But like I said, Joe Lincoln served 68 years in a Pennsylvania prison for just stabbing a man who really didn't, the people who really didn't bleed to death when he was a young teenager. If he did that, if he was in another courtroom, what I'm saying, they would have tried him as a juvenile, is what people are saying. But like I said, just to have that strength to go on even after the prison life, Like I said, he's walking around Pennsylvania, strong body. You know what I'm saying? And so that's some of that we do have here. But going on here, wrapping up Julius Jones' case here with these white supremacists. See, they're worried. See, the white supremacists, like I told y'all, they're worried about even if they're going to have enough numbers of white people to even, you know what I'm saying, to maintain white supremacy. They having a hard time. The baby boomer generation within 25 years are no longer going to be here. You understand? The white baby boomer generation, they're all old. You understand? So that's the reason why Joe Biden, when he first ran for, became president, he said that this country is going to be minority, right? Not minority, white or whatever. And he then turned and told black folks, and you guys got to start working with the Hispanics. Now, why did he say that? Like, wait a minute, the Hispanics are not working with us. Why we have to start working with the Hispanics for? But that's what he said. He recognized that the Hispanics have had a long history of classifying themselves as white. So they've been basically helping the white supremacists to maintain white supremacy, and then on top of that, to kill us out in the streets as police officers with impunity. I told y'all I've been looking at this um, Kanika Jenkins case, and they had the Hispanics in that Rosemont Police Department. Most of them, like I said, are Hispanics. You go to Las Vegas, Miami, parts of Chicago, you'll see a heavy Hispanic population, Mexican population in those cities. The white supremacists are trying to multiculturalize our country because they know that if they multiculturalize it, that when a person go and shoot a black person, they can say, no, this ain't about racism. You stay next door to somebody who is a person of color, you know, another person of color, or a Hispanic or an Asian. You stay next door to a white person or this person. You can't say that this is racist. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to multiculturalize the black community. And so now you have issues here. But I don't mean to get off the subject here, but it goes on to say that the State Pardon and Parole Board on Monday voted to further review the commutation application of Julius Jones, a death row inmate who claims he was framed for murder and whose cause has been taken by celebrities and criminal justice reform advocates across the country. In a critical first stage vote that was streamed publicly via Zoom, the board voted 3-1 to move the case to a second stage. They had one white supremacist said, hell no. Where the board will decide whether to recommend commutation and pass the case on to Governor Kevin Stitch for a final decision. Oh man. See there? Even if the board recognize that he should get a fair another trial, it's up to a Republican governor. You see, goes on to say that voting in favor were acting chair Adam Luck and board members Kelly Doyle and Larry Morris. Casting the lone vote against Jones' application was Alan McCall. The board has 5 seats, but former chairman Robert Gilliland resigned in December because of health issues. Gilliland died in February. The governor is expected to appoint a replacement as earlier as this week. See, this is where we're supposed to be. See, everywhere where white folks or any white supremacists or these bootlicking Negroes, anytime that they basically are appointed to certain types of positions that can then rule our lives, those are the political positions we have to really investigate the politicians or anybody who's sitting on those boards. Because they're going to be the one who's going to be determining our fate. You understand? A highly anticipated Jones decision recorded without board commentary during a jacket review of commutation application from hundreds of inmates came in the midst of widespread debate over claims of institutional racism in the U.S. criminal justice system, leading to the deaths of people of color in police custody and the miscarriage of justice in court. Supporters of Jones, who is black, has sought to characterize his conviction for the fatal shooting of a white and prominent businessman as another example of criminal justice system that harms people of color. See, this people of color stuff is going to get black folks in trouble. You understand? We cannot allow the white media to continue to call us people of color. We are the first we are the only minorities who basically was here in this land and built this country. And so we're not no damn minority. You understand? That title belongs to other races who have abandoned their countries and who had came over here just to get all kinds of treatment and special privileges that we fought hard for and built the nation. And this is what we're going up against. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue. During an afternoon news conference at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Oklahoma City, Antoinette Jones, Julius Jones' sister, said her brother was home the night Howell was murdered and nowhere near the scene of the crime. She said her brother sounded calm, unbeat, and focused during a conversation earlier in the day, but the family had endured a long, hellish nightmare. As the case moves to the second phase and possibility of Stitch death, Antoinette Jones said learning of the board's initial decision Monday was almost likely you're ready for the playoffs, so you have to stay focused. Dale Botch, Jones' attorney, did not comment Monday about his level of confidence in Stitch approving the commutation should the case ultimately land on his desk. We are thrilled that the board has agreed to consider the growing body of evidence that Julius is innocent and convinced that any fair and impartial review of the facts of the case will result in the commutation of his sentence and his release from prison, Bouch said in a statement. Attorney General Mike Hunter said he was disappointed in the decision. Here we go with these white supremacists always being disappointed. The three members who voted in favor of moving Jones to stage two did not apply the objective standards to the law or the evidence, Hunter said in a statement. I'm encouraged those members to go back and look at the 33-page protest letter and the 849-page appendix we submitted last Monday, which completely invalidates every claim that Julius Jones is innocent. My office will continue to stand on the infutable facts of this case with the family of Paul Howell by opposing Jones' request for release from the Pardon and Parole Board. Jones' Stage 2 commutation hearing is scheduled for June, Hunter said. Oklahoma District Attorney David Prater told the board in a letter last week that Jones claimed in his commutation application that he was at home having dinner with his family on the night of the murder. However, his lead trial attorney once testified at an evidentiary hearing that they did not call his parents to testify to the alibi because Jones himself told them his family was mistaken and he was not home that night, Prater wrote. Okay. So we have this white supremacist saying that the man is guilty. They use most of their exhibits coming from the only witness to the murder, which was coming from the guy who actually shot this man, which in fact was Christopher Jordan. if Christopher Jordan was the one who shot him and he admitted to it, then why is it then that they basically are still going after Julius Jones? All right, yeah, area code 314. Go ahead. What's your
Sorry, I was going to tell you that your audio is so low I can hardly hear it.
Okay.
It's been that way for several weeks.
All right.
So I don't know if you get a call, man, they tell you, but I can barely hear you at all. Anyway, you got ready to get off. I just want to let you know.
All right. Thanks for your call, sir. All right. So that was of all I wanted to report here on it. We still but yeah, Joyce Gilchrist was really, 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 really a diabolical in this evil witch. You know what I'm saying? This woman and Bob Macy together was this duo of just just they were criminals themselves. You understand? They're criminals. And the problem with this is that neither one of them was prosecuted for all of these cases that they botched. Understand? And that's today's commentary. Join me to next Thursday. We're going to go into details about this Sanaya Dennis case. We're going to go in there and talk about her and Kanika Jenkins and Sanaya Dennis case. We're going to go in depth into those two cases of these two black women, these young black females who were found, who were basically, one of them was found dead, the other one's still missing. We're going to break it down for you on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. We're going to really, really, really break it down because it's all about, in my opinion, what they call of organ harvesting. We'll talk about it next Thursday on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Thanks for listening. Watch this.